the Economic Development and Energy Committee meeting for today. Everyone please stand up for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Legislator Birmingham. Here. Legislator Elmer. Here. Chairman Brook.
Present. Item number 3. Putnam SWOR is a nonprofit organization here in Putnam County that helps small business owners start new businesses and grow their businesses. We have some special guests here tonight from SCORE. I'd like to ask them to come up and say a few words on what they're doing and updates. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General Reeves. Thank you for having us here and allowing us to take some pretty precious time to tell you a little bit of the story about SCORE. But first, may I introduce my 2 colleagues, Sal Gambino and Gene Daniel. They with me are the co-chairs of the Putnam County chapter of SCORE. What I'd like to do is take a couple of minutes to tell you a little bit about SCORE as a national organization, and then what I'd like to do is focus in on Putnam SCORE and what we have done and do, and a little bit of what we hope to do in Putnam County. SCORE as an organization, as was pointed out, is a not-for-profit. We were created in 1964, and we were created as a resource partner to the SBA. And I try to find out exactly what a resource partner is, and the best I can determine is that the SBA provides us with a substantial portion of our funding, about $7 million for the year, which is around 60% of our total budget. The rest is raised through corporate partnerships, fundraising, and the like. The genesis of the organization was to help the SBA more effectively accomplish its goals of growing small businesses across the country. And it was kind of felt that just giving money to small businesses was not the best way to make it happen, because a lot of times the money is given to a person with good intentions but no skills or ability to start a business, and the money just was spent but not effectively with no results. And so it was decided to see if SCORE proposed, or the proponents of SCORE proposed, creating an organization that would provide mentoring services, free, confidential, to those people that went to the SBA to get funding for their businesses, and work as an advisor to those businesses, to those people, and help them more effectively use the SBA funds. Since then, SCORE has grown, and we are now an organization of 10,000 volunteers. We are in all 50 states and all the possessions of the United States. We have about 350 offices across the country, plus a reasonable number of sub-offices which nobody keeps track of. So we have a fairly large presence across the country, and obviously we are concentrated with businesses, or most concentrated. Our efforts in northern Maine are probably, probably have one person covering all of northern Maine, or we may have a cast of thousands in Manhattan. But here, as a Maine, we do switch across the country. The mission of SCORE is very simple. It's to foster vibrant small business communities through mentoring and education. And we hope and we envision that at some point in time, every person who wants to get into business or is in the business world has the support necessary to drive their business to success. And one of our core values is our clients' success is our success. We offer 3 primary tools for our clients. The first one is free, confidential, one-on-one mentoring, business mentoring. We are not consultants. We don't do for clients. We do with clients or show clients how to. Over the years, SCORE has worked with over 17 million clients in its existence since 1960. and we've created millions of new jobs. But we provide business advice and mentoring to small businesses. Our second tool, our second offering, is basically training modules. We use webinars, classes, seminars to try and teach current business topics to any business person that wants to attend these events. We run dozens and dozens of webinars throughout the year at the corporate level, and our structure is similar to a corporate structure. We have a corporate headquarters, regions, districts, and chapters. We run these webinars and seminars at each of the levels, and we run several times of them a year that are accessible to anybody who wants to sign up for it. And the last thing we do is on our website, which is cleverly www.score.org, so everybody can remember it. And we have a very, very extensive library of templates, of how-tos, of classes, of certifications that are all available, again, essentially for free to anybody who wants to go on our website and use it. We do a lot of work with the unemployment agencies. They have a program called SEEK, which is Self-Employment Assistance Program, and one of the requirements of participating in that program is to take a substantial amount of education, business-oriented education, to help these people start new businesses. All our offerings on the website are applicable and used and accepted as credit by the unemployment agencies for this purpose. So we try and offer these three tools and make them as available as possible to anybody that's interested in starting a business, whether it's for-profit or not-for-profit. Organizationally, as I said, we have 10,000 volunteers. In Herndon, Virginia, we have our headquarters. We have a category of, I think it's around 62 people who are paid employees who do corporate things, finance, marketing, compliance, interacting with the SBA and Congress, and that type of work. Everybody else in the company is essentially a volunteer. We do have, in some of the larger offices, temporary employees who are paid to do certain specific clerical type activities that we need to offload the volunteers, but they're not terribly prevalent and they're not too many. So we're essentially an all-volunteer organization. Last year, just to put us in perspective a little bit, from a corporate standpoint, SCORE created 31,000 jobs, 31,000 new businesses. I say created, helped create, worked with people to create 31,000 change new businesses. These businesses in turn created about 121,000 new jobs, other than the employer via the founder job. If you add the 120,000 non-owner jobs to the owner job, we created about 150,000 jobs. And at $17 million funding from the SBA, that's about $185 a job, which is not a bad return on investment. And that has been the story for a very long time. We do get our funding from the SBA, and we have to substantiate our performance with them to get the funding each year, which is renewed. And we do this, and I just divert a little bit, because the way in which we gather these statistics is by the use of Pricewaterhouse, the consulting firm. We engage them to reach out to every single client that we had in the previous fiscal year. To the extent that they can connect with them, we gather information about their engagement with SCORE and whether or not they started a new job and a bunch of other topics. They reach out through email, through direct mail, and through telephone calls to all 100,000 plus contacts. Based on the results they get, we never get anywhere near 100% connections by any stretch of the imagination. As you all know from some of the campaigning efforts, you hook up with a reasonable percentage, you hope, of new people. Pricewaterhouse then statistically extrapolates the final numbers. They will only extrapolate if the base number is sufficiently large to be a valid sample and to yield a valid statistical result. And Congress has looked at this in some detail and may buy off on it too, as being a pretty valid way to get the information. So that's where the numbers come from. And to a great extent, those numbers trickle down and they can break them down into states and into branch offices. The type of people that we work with, early stage entrepreneurs who have a great idea they want to put into action and start a business. We work with people who are on the cusp of actually starting a business, maybe they've got a DBA or an LLC or whatever, and want to move on from there and grow the business a little bit. We work with established businesses, some of the larger ones, both profit and not-for-profit in Putnam County, that have been our clients for various points in time. I don't mention the names because we do operate on a confidential basis, and many would rather not have this made, so we're happy. But when I do mention a client, it'll be with their permission. The last group we work with are people that are transitioning in business, selling, getting out, quitting, merging, whatever. I would try and work with them on that also. And so, we try and help. And when we measure clients, the clients walk away from us with having received a fairly specific knowledge of resources that are available to them. We help them avoid mistakes. Then they've done that, and there's some no-nos, there's some to-dos. We help them prioritize, organize, and get their act together in a good orderly sequence, and avoid some of the pitfalls that will snag anybody on route to starting a business if somebody hasn't said, watch out for this. So we try and do a little bit of watch out. And we also, all as individual mentors, share and draw from our own personal experiences where appropriate to share them with our clients. We also learn a lot from our clients, and we, as many consultants do, what I learn goes kind of in the vault of things to do and not to do. And our font of expertise grows eventually as we deal with more and more clients. It's just a natural learning process, and that makes us that much more effective. And the last thing that we do is we provide, and it's not an official thing, we do a lot of brainstorming with clients. Somebody comes in with a problem, they having problems in sales in this area, or they're booming over here. What do you think the problem is? And we will get a couple of mentors together and a couple of people from the client and brainstorm, and kick around ideas and see if we can come to some sort of an understanding of what the situation is and move from there. So those are the things that we do when we mentor clients. From a local business workshop and event standpoint, we run a lot of webinars on all sorts of various topics. They're almost all free. We will on occasion offer a course or a class where there's a specific benefit, a specific end result. For example, a Microsoft certification course where you get a certificate of certification as a Microsoft engineer or whatever the thing is. And we would charge for that because that's a formal education. That's not a mentoring, that is a training offer, and we charge appropriately for it. But in addition to the workshops and webinars and things like that that we run, we also run occasional fairly large programs, and they're significant to the local communities, I think at least. One that we ran last summer was called a loan ready program. And in this program, we had six local banks. A couple of which I recall off the top of my head was Key Bank, and then T Bank, Colonials. Anyhow, there were six local banks, so I don't have it off the top of my head. And with these banks, we ran a series of webinars, I think 4 in total, which covered significant steps or topics that a business needs to know and cover preparation for going to get a loan. The 6 banks then, in conjunction with SCORE, participated in these webinars. And then at the end of the webinars, we had 3 weeks where the banks provided loan officers to meet with the people who took the webinars to work over their business plans with the SCORE mentor there too, and try and tune them and get the documentation in good shape so that they could then go and make a formal application for the loan with a significantly improved chance of getting the loan. And that's, it was all free, and it was fairly well attended, and the banks were very enthusiastic and want to know if we were going to do it this summer, and I don't know the answer because it wasn't my decision. So, but I suspect we very well met. We ran a women's symposium 2 years ago. We had about 120 businesswomen from the Hudson Valley, not just Putnam, but Putnam, Westchester, and Dutchess counties, and I think a couple from Rockland came. We ran it in White Plains. It was an all-day webinar. We had speakers from all sorts of disciplines making their presentations, and it was extremely successful. It was a breakfast, lunch, and a whole bunch of presentations and breakout rooms that were available to everybody. Another thing that we're doing, and I'd ask Ed to just pass these around. The end of the month is National Small Business Week across the country. And it's pretty highly publicized by the SBA and by local banks and everything. And SCORE, in conjunction with the SBA, is running a 2-day online event where we have a simulated business conference online. There's a main hall, people will gather, and there are breakout rooms, 7 or 8, that are available to people that are in the main tent, if you will. And they can listen to different presentations. There's one breakout room that's a networking room. There's another room that is strictly a banking room. And all of these are available to everybody that signs on. It's free and it's easy to sign on, and we send out lots of publications and information about it. So I think that's that's another example of things that we can do. And let me move on then to just talk a little bit more locally. I'll skip through a couple of pages, go to the page that says about SCORE, and go one beyond that. Putnam SCORE is relatively new to the SCORE family. We were founded in about 2004, at the end of 2003 or the beginning of 2004. Some local business people, Bob Bondi, Ben Rebel, Ben Weibel, Jerry Klein from Maritime Bank, Bert Houseworth, who was then the CEO of the IDA, several other local business people, and I suspect the legislature, I don't know, I wasn't here at the time, got together and they decided it would be a pretty good idea to have a SCORE chapter of the Putnam County. Putnam had been covered by, sort of covered by Westchester County, but it was kind of a schlep. For people who live in Southern County, were trying to get up to Putnam. So we created Putnam SCORE, and I know it was in business in 2004, it might have been at the end of 2003, but it's close enough to government. The committee that created this decided to house this over 30 Brooklyn Island. And that was an interesting choice because at that location at that time were the IDA, the EDC, and the county clerk. And the concept was to also add us there and had a nucleus in the one building where somebody that had business interests in Putnam County, they wanted to start a business, relocate a business, or do other things, had kind of a one-stop shop in the one building. And we stayed there for a little while until about 7 years ago, when the then county executive, Barry Ellen, although opted, she it would be a good idea to try and sell the building and ask us to leave, and they relocated us to what used to be the purchasing department over in the Smith, Executive Park, and where we are now. Although I must say, at this point, since COVID, we do a substantially greater percent of our work online than in person. And you know, COVID will change the way we do business dramatically. I'll get one second. We have 18 active members, 18 active mentors right now. I had an error in the next page which said that 50-50 male-female. That's old news. We have 10 males and 8 females at this point in time. We swapped the room from them. Just by virtue of just people moving on. We, over the last 5 years, ran about 3,100, 3,200 mentoring sessions, 700 plus unique clients, all who were looking to start, improve, or change the way they do business. And we started over 185 new businesses over those 5 years. Some of them are little teeny mom and pop businesses where they've got a DBA and are selling at a local farmer's market, and some have become fairly substantial. One client who we had a while ago was a company called Lola Snacks. The original name was Lola Granola, and we'll go through the story, but starting from making a granola bar in her kitchen for her husband. Mary Molina, who was the CEO, and her husband, Ernie, came to school and said, "Do you think we could sell these things?" And they worked with us for 3 or 4 years. Got to the point where they were on the Food Network as a feature presentation twice. They moved to a regional distributor and had their product throughout the Northeast. Went well enough that they went to national distribution and are still being distributed nationally. That was from making granola bars in the kitchen, and they have 4 or 5 kids, all of whom were on the Food Network video, wrapping products in cellophane and sticking labels on them as a start of business. So we've had some like that. We have clients that have been with us for 10 years. We have clients that come in and have one question to ask, gets answered, and they're gone. And we have some clients come in and say, "You guys don't know what I want." And bless them. So we've had some of each, and you win some and you lose some. We try not to have that happen, but it does on occasion. We had a couple of kudos. One of the things that was most notable to me was in 22, we were the #1 chapter in the entire country in customer satisfaction, and #4 in the entire country in 22, which to me was what it's all about. Happy customers, we're doing something like that. Right now, the mentors we have 18. They've been with school from 1 year to 11 plus years, 17 years, and anything in between. From a background standpoint, we cover the gamut. We have CPAs, we have former bank presidents, we had Joe Roman, who was the president of Reader's Digest. We've had senior executives in drug manufacturing space. We've had senior executives with major credit card companies in the direct customer sales space. We've had construction engineers, cybersecurity people, and quite a few individual business owners. So we have a great deal of expertise. And one thing that we can do is if you need expertise that we don't have, we can reach out to 10,000 other volunteers or 9,980 or whatever other volunteers to try to find the right fit for the client. Not all 10,000 are actually posting themselves as available for remote mentoring, but an awful lot are. We have a good chance of getting the right fit for the right person. We are very serious in the code of ethics that all our mentors sign off on. We cannot make money or profit in any way from our dealing with any of our clients. that's no exceptions, that's what it is. And we can't use any of our client information for commercial purposes, for advertising or anything like that. And our mentors, in addition to learning from their clients and from each other, we have a fairly rigorous program of ongoing education that's carried out throughout the year, trying to train us on the latest things in business. AI is a big buoy, and we do a lot of digital marketing and then a lot of things in the finance space. So we try to keep all mentors current, up to speed, and as effective as we can to our clients. I have a sheet that shows our results for the last 6 years. I'm not going to go through them, but one thing I did want to point out is if you notice on the 2020 column, the number of services that we provided to our clients is about double that of any other year. That happened to be the COVID year, and actually 19 and 20 were the COVID years. We were listed on the SBA website as if you need information about the PPE loan program or the EIDL loan program, call SCORE. It wasn't called the SBA. And the problem was, I think the SBA said that without naming the answers, and we certainly didn't, but we worked with them, we learned the answers, we worked with the dozens and dozens and dozens of people who called up looking for information. The first call I ever had on that was from a local businessman here who said, "Help, tell me about it." I said, "I don't know." And he said, "I figured that," because it was the day after it was announced in the paper. And he and I got together, and we got the Putnam Business Council and a lot of other local business people together, and we did weekly information sharing sessions, through webinars being available to the public, sharing as best we could, and then we kept getting more and more information from the SBA until we actually knew what we were talking about and had answers and could help with it. And that's kind of the story of SCORE and Putnam SCORE. And clearly, I'm very proud of the organization and have loved being in it for 17 years. Obviously, if I didn't like it and I didn't get my last raise, I would have quit. And thank you so much for sharing the time with us. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them, and so would Sal and Jean.
Thank you. I want to apologize for being on the phone. My daughter is pregnant and no contractions to speak. Any questions for Brook?
So I have a question for you. You mentioned 21 and 2020, and also one of the services that you help with is transitioning businesses. So during that time, PPE loans that you mentioned, EDIC, HRSA loans are a big deal. Do you also help with waiver and compromise when businesses have not been successful? I want to make everybody successful. And the Treasury is involved because it is attached to their Social Security number, and they are held accountable for that one without a lawyer.
Absolutely. In fact, our clients run the gamut from the most challenging client, somebody who comes in and says, "I want to start a new business." Great. What are you interested in? I don't know. Got any good ideas? That's not a great start, but that's the one end of the spectrum. Then we work with clients who are positively trying to start their business. We also work with a lot of clients whose business, especially after COVID, have started to fail.
And who didn't file as well.
Yes, and we try and work with them. And some of the issues are ones that we really can't help with. How do I repay my PPE? Does this count against the allowance against PPE for the government building? Yeah. Those are CPA or legal questions. We kind of point them to the right source. But other than that, we'll get many people that come in, and a classic example is we had a client who was in the service business for, I'll say, people who, for their homes. It wasn't cleaning service, but they They dealt with people who were doing services for them while they were at work. When COVID hit, people were no longer at work. They were at home, and they did those services themselves. An example might be, walking the door, or doing grocery shopping, or something like that. When I go to work in the city, I want you to walk my dog, or I'd like you to buy groceries for me. With COVID, I'm home. I'm not gonna pay you to walk my dog, I'll pay my dog myself. And so, we work with clients in that space, we work with clients whose product, has not kept up with competition. A lot of times, it's a marketing issue where what used to work isn't working any longer, and we try and work with them to help with that. Sometimes, it's a question of who's trying to find out what the problem actually is. My business is down. Why? I don't know. And we'll try and work with that client and understand what the problem is, and then hopefully be able to put together a plan of action to try and address the problem that we just uncovered. So so we work with clients going that way, and many of them going this way, but we'd like to go that way.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the additional interest.
Second.
Second.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank SCORE for everything you do for Putnam County. I mean, you said it yourself, you guys are volunteers, and the numbers that you showed us right here in the last 5 years, almost 3,200 individual mentoring sessions. If you break that down, that's about 50 a month. That's amazing for a county the size of Putnam County. And I know each of you in particular come from very esteemed backgrounds, and the fact that you're willing to share your experience and help others perhaps learn from your scars, as you said earlier, those things that you've run into in your career that you're helping the next generation and those of your current colleagues avoid is a great service to this county. And like everything else in Putnam County, it's the volunteers that make this happen. And I want to thank you guys for that so much, because it's really a great service you do for Putnam County, and 185 plus businesses in the last 5 years. Again, for the county size of Putnam, is amazing. So thank you guys so much for that. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for the kind words.
Thank you.
The SCORE is a very good organization. For the people in the audience, the people who are watching online, if you want to start a business, if you have a business and you want to tweak it a little bit, or you want to be a mentor to small business people, you have successful life as a business person and you want to give back a little bit, please reach out to SCORE. What's the best way they can do that?
Sure. One is just go to our SCORE website, www.score.org, and at that website there's an opportunity to volunteer. There's an opportunity to find a mentor, and if you find a mentor option, if you click on that, it asks you, what the challenge is, what do you want, what kind of mentor you want, and there's an option to either go find your own mentor, or just say, I would like to have a mentor, a reasonably mobile mentor, and it comes down, and the next day it's in, actually it's in Sal's desk, because he handles all the incoming requests, and we're typically back to the person that made the inquiry in 2-3 days at the outside. And we try and get a conversation going and see if indeed what we offer is what the client is looking for, and we assess if we can help them with a business.
Sounds great.
The other thing is you can reach out and you can call the SCORE phone number. I prefer the website, but the SCORE phone number is 845 600 4250, and the last page has our contact information, but I didn't know how to get it out to everybody.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the legislators? Any questions from the audience?
I just wanted to ask you, is SCORE a national organization, or is SCORE a national organization?
Yes.
So it's in all states?
Yes, I said we have 350 offices. We cover all 50 states as well as our territories.
Oh, okay, great.
But we have no foreign presence, and that's primarily due to the SBA and the fact that their funding is as heavily as they do.
Right.
the SBA got the business to invest money in non-US companies.
And the SBA is, what does that stand for?
Small Business Administration.
That's better on
So
Hey,
yes,
where are you from,
we
then?
are national.
Where are you from?
that. Me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm from Garrison.
Thank you.
But my daughter has a business in Season, Vermont, and I'm gonna tell her about you.
Any other questions from the audience? Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much.
May I do one thing, just?
And the next item on the floor, we have an FYI.
No, it's just only some business laws that are going on. They didn't get the numbers.
If you want to give that, thank you.
At the end of the meeting, if anyone would like a business card, just come up and grab one.
Please come to the podium now for people to come up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4 is an FYI. It's an unemployment report. The most recent numbers we have is February 2025. We have 52,800 Putnam residents who were employed in February. In January of this year, we have 52,700 residents who were employed, so we've gone up 100 people. And same time last year, February 2024, it was 52,600 people. So the trend is going up, and that's always a good thing. More people working, more money being generated for families. Okay, moving on, item number 5 is our business. I have a request from Bill Brook, Chairman of the Putnam County IDA, to give an update on what the IDA is doing.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the additional from the item.
Second. All in favor? Make a motion, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for this opportunity to update you on the Putnam County Industrial Development Agency, your PCIDA. I'm Bill Dalton. I've been the chairman and general director of the agency since it was reconstituted back in May of 2016. And it's been a long time. We operate as an all-volunteer 7-member board with representation of each of the 6 towns in the county. And right now we're having a problem recruiting a member from the Phillipstown area. So if anybody is interested, I keep telling people to be on the Putnam County board, not Putnam County IDA board. It's not that difficult. You need to be somewhat intelligent, somewhat sane, and have the best interest in Putnam County. And the rest is we ask for your good cooperation. And we meet once a month, so it's not that often. IDAs were authorized under the laws of New York State, and in particular under the provisions of the New York State Industrial Development Act and Chapter 399 of the 1987 laws of the state of New York. The Putnam County IDA, the PCIDA, was formed in 1995 under Article 18 of the General Municipal Law as a public benefit corporation. PCIDA is authorized to provide financial assistance benefits to promote and assist a variety of appropriate businesses and industries to come and or stay in Putnam County. This includes a mortgage tax abatement, sales tax abatement, a property tax abatements, called sometimes pilots, and tax-exempt revenue bonds. Please note that we're not giving out money. What we're doing is rather we're issuing or easing the burden on establishing business operations in the county. So it gives them a chance to get going when they're establishing their businesses. The PCIDA is a toolbox of Putnam County's economic development team, led by the Putnam County Economic Development Corporation and Putnam County Putnam Tourism. We also work with the County Planning Department and Putnam County Business Council and our local chambers of commerce. We've been able over the last year to move to a reasonable office space and have brought on a part-time administrative bookkeeper, and just recently a part-time executive director. These additions to our staff have allowed us to institutionalize our operations, so in the future the chairman will not be doing all the work. That's kind of important. I want to commend the valuable training and assistance that Terry Waveda gave us over the past 8 years. It's given us our agency a chance to be in compliance. Unfortunately, she's no longer able to continue in that position, and my sincere thanks and best wishes go out to her. Thank you. Over the past 3 weeks, we have transitioned our computer systems and website functions from the county IT department to our own agency control. This eliminates the conflicts that we have been having conducting operations with restrictions that are required by county systems. An IDA is supposed to be an independent agency working for the county. We were able to proceed with these operating changes with 2 nice project agreements in 2023. He said Co's third expansion and the commercial campus at Fields Lane, Putnam Road project. Additionally, we're expecting the Brewster Crossing Main Street revitalization project to begin this year. Unfortunately, that's looking very iffy since the passing of the seat principal in that development company. The Glenida Distillery project, in a scaled down version, was ready to move forward after 4 years of working on it, and is currently the international market situation is kind of holding things up a bit. Just wait to see how it settles out. So we're looking forward to seeing them. ASENCO plans a major expansion for its booster facilities, but again, we'll have to see how things work there in the international market. And our Comfort Inn project, the hotel, continues to do well, but they would like to do something with their 13 acres of property if they had some sewer situations taken care of. And that's one of the problems in the county. Our other projects are showing interest, but the lack of infrastructure and our topography and other issues continue to make Putnam County a hard sell for many businesses. But the Putnam County Economic Development Team continues to keep striving. The IDA is expected to operate with the funding that it receives and the fees that it generates with these projects. We've been fortunate for the past 3 years to have been able to do that. We did not require funding from the county in 23, 24, and now 25. We have projects that are close to applying, but not there yet, and unfortunately are stalled. We had a couple that were stalled or canceled. The Brewster Main Street revitalization is one of them, and the assisted living project in Carmel is another. But we keep things moving as best we can. We may need help in 2026. And the Putnam IDA will continue to work with the Putnam Economic Development Team to bring Putnam appropriate businesses and commercial operations to our county. The success of those endeavors will lead to the continuing success of the CIDA. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, Bill, thanks for this report, and I'm heartened to see that you have some staff on board now. I know, Bill, you've been doing the yeoman's work for the last 8 years. You're chairman, and that's a role you excelled at, but you've done much more than being chairman. You've completed a lot of the state forms that otherwise other IDAs have their staff do. So I want to thank you for all your hard work on it. And just for full disclosure, I used to be the chairman of the IDA back in 1995 to 1998. And I can tell you the type of paperwork we used to have to submit 30 years ago was nowhere near the reams of paperwork and
computer forms and things like that, that IDAs, and it's all good stuff. I'm glad that there's more reporting, but it is a burden, and transparency is important, but it is a burden, and you guys have done a great job with it. And also for full disclosure, my firm used to be counsel to the IDA, but of course we withdrew from that engagement when I announced for this office. But having said that, I want to thank you for your work in this, and I won't be surprised if you come back. I'm just 1 out of 9, but I won't be surprised if you come back needing some money, because I do know how IDAs operate. You're fee driven, and if there's no projects there's no fees, but those state forms still have to be filled out. And
Yes, there is a lingering residual requirement, even if we're out of cash.
Yes, and that's a good thing, because there's an annual reporting of projects that have been approved in the past.
Yes.
The state wants to keep an eye on their returns, so it's important, but at least at 1 out of 9, you have a sympathetic ear if that's the case. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Also, Bill, I just want everybody to know that one of the requirements which you have to operate on is a formal audit, which the state requires. So there's a significant cost associated with filing that paperwork, even though everybody's volunteers. It's a volunteer organization, there are costs which you have to absorb, which are beyond your control.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do for Putnam County, truly appreciate it. I wanted to know the status of the commercial campus on Putnam Road.
The smaller building, which is 300,000 square feet, is fully leased. That's leased to a snack company called Lesser Evil. And they have a large operation, and they're moving forward. The larger building, which is 600,000 square feet, is just be able to come on the market now. We finished up what they had to do there. The good news is that it was designed to be able to split up into conveniently 3 different sections if they had to, so they thought ahead there. But it's a tough market right now. The warehouse distribution market is rather soft, and so we have to do some creative thinking here, hopefully to come up with some other ideas where they can use that kind of space. That's what we're seeing there.
Any other listeners? Anyone from the public have a question or comment? Stay on them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 5 is other business. Seeing there's no other business, I make a motion to close the meeting. Want a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Putnam County Fiscal Services Committee meeting. Please join me in standing for our pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Legislator Crowley,
Present.
Legislator Yonke,
Sitting in for Legislator Yonke will be Legislator Andizio.
and Chairman Putnam.
Here. Before we get going, I just want everybody to know I'm just going to do a little housekeeping because some of the things are relatively technical. So the first thing that I'd like to do is I'd like to accept all the additionals at once. Okay, additional for is confidential, some information which happened with the Ag Board. Items 6A and 6B are minor changes which we'll go over for a self-power lease. And that's 6A and 6B. So I make a motion to accept all the additionals. Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I also want to now accept as other business, which will be item 7A, which is an update on the Fair Street project. And I'm also going to want to move that up to agenda item 4, so the people who are here don't have to wait as we go through all the other things which may be complex. Okay, so the first thing is, which we're going to handle, is agenda item 3, discussion.
Second. Motion second. And motion for order second.
I make the agenda, so we're just going to go through with this. The Sprout Brook Bridge and Aqueduct Pond update, which Legislator Montgomery requested. We're very pleased to have 3 gentlemen from the DEC to assist with this update. So Commissioner Fieri and anyone else, I see Deputy Commissioner Bellucci here and our gentleman from DEC. And also we have Neil Tolman. If you would please come up and let everybody know what's going on.
Thank you.
Good evening. I don't think our DPC person's here.
We have 3 gentlemen here from DEC. And I believe they all have to get back to Albany.
One.
Thank you guys for taking the time.
Which one? What do you want to start? Sorry.
Commissioner Fieri,
Strawberry Bridge pilings are done today. Finished today. They're actually moving to demo the bridge now. Go back to the original detour, and it's on schedule. Good, going well. Dam project. I'll let Neil if you want to.
No.
The introduction.
So this is the Aqueduct Road in project for everybody who's watching.
Right, so, thank you, Legislator Montgomery, for putting up the invitation. We do have, representatives from the DEC here from Dam Safety, and just to sort of introduce it, it sort of works. We have the county working with an engineering firm, CT Mail, and then we have the DEC. So that's sort of your triangle of communications going back and forth, trying to work out a solution for the Carmel Village Dam, which Don will elaborate on. Needs some repairs, part of what we're trying to do is figure out a strategy for either fixing it or decommissioning it. And so I think the first point I wanted to make was that we've been very clear with the engineers, who will eventually be here with some visual support on what we're trying to do, is that we don't have a decision yet. We're waiting for the engineers to weigh on what's the best solution to what is the dam that needs to be either repaired or decommissioned. And so we'll have more feedback on that as we go. So the money's, funding's been secured, and so we're just at the early stages of this. The engineering firm did start doing some surveying and some drone work, which I think sort of where some of those letters came from. And so I understand it, there people want to know what's going on. And so it's good, we'll have a little conversation tonight, and as we start to learn more about the project, we'll be back. So I'll give you Don from DEC Dam Safety.
If I may, please come up. If I may, real quick for everyone, there's a little history. This dam at this point is an earthen dam. It's something that the county, I'm going to use the term inherited, because many years ago people failed to pay their taxes, so the county ended up taking the dam. There's been some safety concerns issued by the DEC that now they want a full construction, and gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, a steel and/or concrete dam at this location, and the residents have voiced concerns about this. And Legislator Montgomery, myself, and Deputy Commissioner Belushi went out and toured the site 12 to 14 months ago.
The meeting about this was exactly a year ago today.
Thank you. So that's the background for everybody. So gentlemen, please.
So my name's John Canistrar, I'm the section chief in Dam Safety with New York State DEC.
Welcome.
I think we're here just to talk about our letter we issued in the beginning of 2004, which led to a site visit with Legislator Montgomery and Mr. Tillman. So our program, there's over 6,000 dams in the state, over 560 what we call Class B intermediate measure dams, which is a continental village dam is classified as. And what that means is that it's not a condition of the dam, it means if the dam were to fail, what the impacts downstream would be. And that generally means, and there's an mitigation map associated with the emergency action plan for this dam that shows which houses and roads that will be impacted if the structure were to fail. So because of that, it's got this rating, and because of that, certain technical documents need to be prepared for the structure. There was a engineering assessment prepared in 2015 by your engineer, not your current engineer, but your previous engineer, and he identified spillway capacity issues after the structure. Spillway capacity means the dam, as a Class B dam, should pass a certain design storm without overtopping. If an embankment dam would overtop, it can fail. Just grass and soil will erode and it can fail the structure. So it doesn't meet spillway capacity criteria. What also was identified in that report 10 years ago was lots of overgrown vegetation, just deficiencies across the structure. They recommended geometry changes to the structure, and they recommended expanding the size of the primary spillway, the spillway of the structure, such that it could pass the spillway design. So in 2023, the Department of Inspection may inspect intermediate hazard dams every 4 years is what our goal is, and we went into 2023 and issued a letter in early 2024 with the findings of the dam, where the county sits with compliance to several of the items that were due, which they're delinquent on, they're still are delinquent on several items, and the deficiencies from 10 years ago still have gone unaddressed. So what we do, and we do commonly with dams such as this, is we tell the owner to either prepare a planning schedule to rehabilitate the structure such that it meets our safety criteria, or make a plan to lower or remove the structure. Remove structure, rehab structure is a safe structure. We don't dictate which way the owner goes, but we just want a safe structure. We don't want to be able to fail catastrophically, cause impacts downstream. So that's just that's our role in this, and we've been working with Mr. Goldman for a time now, just to try to talk them through what we're looking for here and try to get something in place with this plan to address the deficiencies of the dam. So if you have any questions for me on our program, I'd be glad to answer them.
Does the committee have any?
Thank you, Chairman. When do we have to have this plan in place at the very least, or have this rectified by as for the state?
It's report from our December 23 inspection, he said, please get back to us, I think in 45 days with a plan schedule to rehabilitate the dam or remove it. We haven't gotten anything written to date, that demonstrates the county has a plan to do that, so, again, we attempt to work with voluntary compliance with all the owners, but right now this dam is in a position where it doesn't meet the criteria, and it's, and we don't have a plan in front of us to address the condition.
Okay, so following the steps, it's been a year since this came up, so the next steps are for us to come up with a plan, work with you, and the surrounding homeowners that don't really want to, obviously it impacts their lives. We need to get something going right away before.
Certainly recommend that.
The county, sorry, Chairman. Thank you. The county owns it, correct? Okay, so do we incur costs or fees or fines if we are not doing something or have a plan in a certain period of time?
There's a potential for enforcement if there's not voluntary compliance. I'll say we attempt to get voluntary compliance, certainly with all owners, and there's always a yes. Any dam could go to formal enforcement at any time for not being in compliance with regulatory items or not being properly maintaining the dam in safe condition, which is the law.
Okay, so what are the next steps that we are doing to make sure that we stay out of that?
I don't know.
I guess, Commissioner Fuhrer, sorry to put you on the hot seat, right under the bus, but you're great at your job, and I know you've been well involved in this. I have not been out to your business first. I guess it just for full disclosure, I just wanted to ask those questions because I felt that they were important as to be in compliance. Obviously, you're here, so you're all working together. But what are the next steps that we have to do?
Chair, it's a funding, everything's funding, right? So that went to capital, we got the funding for it now, we're going through the process of doing studies for it. So in good faith, we're moving in the right direction. It just takes a while. Again, it was, we got it from tax payment, so not payment of taxes, so, right.
And
We have a few properties like this, which is gonna go up again, and we did put funding in place now for the next 6 years to take a look at all these different projects that are dams.
And we're talking significant amount of funding. We're talking
Significant
millions of dollars based on what the DEC wants us to do. And the homeowners, they're upset, rightfully so. Because so everyone knows, there's a large pond which is here. There are turtle breeding grounds. It's a very aesthetically pleasing area. So we're now talking from what was a very unobtrusive earthen dam with a small spillway. Now we're looking at concrete and steel and slide gates. And there's also big limitations at getting the equipment in to where the location needs. And if someone would help me with my memory, we were talking, what, $3 million?
That's so approved. Sorry. That's enough.
We haven't gotten any feedback where we could determine that accurately as to the dollar amount, but I don't know. I mean, the scope, it's really hard to say. I mean, really don't want to throw out any numbers until we get more feedback from the engineers. And I should also point out, I'm sorry, but
Please continue to
I was just going to say that this is, as Commissioner Fury pointed out, this is one of 4 dam projects that we have going on that are in some stage of, so it's definitely on our radar.
The consulting company will come up with engineer's estimates for both options. So it's part of their scope of service.
And I think also to Chair, I think it's important to point out too, regardless of if they do go with repairing, then this gets fenced off and doesn't become accessible to the public anymore either. So it's not a pretty story any way you look at it.
You've been there are constructability issues, it's very tight entrance, and the amount size of the equipment, there's a lot of variables that are just, let's wait and see what the engineers say.
Legislator McCollum?
Yeah, I think you answered some of my questions when I heard that funding is in place. I don't know what we're funding, but I understand now it's part of a bigger picture of like the Dam Safety Improvement Act with Congress, or these are dam safe, this funding is in general for dams throughout the county. But I think we need to make it clear for the public here is that we haven't made a decision yet. To Legislator Elmer's point, no decision to make that industrial, safety correction for the dam has been made. My understanding was we met here a year ago. We did one site visit. That's the only information I've received. The process is the DEC tells the county this needs to happen. The county DPW comes to the legislature's Physical Services Committee, 3-member committee, to discuss this and give them information, and hopefully all that information is provided to the entire legislature so we all have an understanding of this. But again, it has been a year. So my understanding of what the options were when standing there with the DEC were a number of different things, from removal, which is, I think the public also needs to understand that this is something that the DEC is actively looking at throughout the state. It is their goal for safety, for the flooding we've seen, to restore, habitats, migration of habitats. These dams were created, and in some way they inhibited these habitats. So on one hand, they grew great ones and destroyed others, like a trout stream. So I think where we're at here is no decision's been made. The options were the one, real heavy duty industrial development structure, the removal of the dam. One was, I don't know what the term is, but letting water go. Well, but also on an annual basis, depending on what the levels are, putting in some kind of technology there to let the water rise and fall. I don't know if that was, none of it's known to be approved by the DEC, but I was concerned hearing funding's in place and the engineers out there, because that was telling me that something's been decided, and I want to know if it has, and I think
That's if I may, is what the only thing that's been communicated is that they're looking for professional engineers consulting engineers to come up with solutions and cost estimates for each solution.
In front of us,
Right.
with the public's input, hopefully.
Absolutely. Legislator Crowell.
Have we looked into the HHPD for something like this, and would that be efficient because of all the state, with the state coming down on a lot of different classes?
There is, most of the funding out there now is for Class C dams, and this was a Class B scenario.
But
so,
high hazard potential dam, which is this,
this is
right?
an intermediate.
So it would be high hazard
No,
with the flooding?
high hazard is the potential loss of property and life, and that's what they call a Class C. This is a Class B type dam where they're calling for potential damage to property only.
Okay, because I thought we had talked about there was potential, like this is a potential flood zone too, so I didn't know if that would maybe.
Right. What happened in this dam and a lot of dams is what you're rating A, B, C, and D for decommission. What happens is the dam is built, and then over the years there's more development downstream. So your dam classification can change based on what people are building downstream. I'm sure when they built this, if we went back, I think it was in the late 50s, there was far less. It probably would have been an A. It would have been very minor. We have people building downstream, and you have road networks and drainage networks that build up downstream from it. And that's what eventually gets it on the radar of DEC.
Okay, I was just asking, thank you so much.
Do we have a timetable as to when RFP will go out for consultants.
We hire a consultant already.
Fully hired, so we have the consultants in place, and we're waiting for their reports.
Yeah, so it was like if we're on call list, which is, you know, bad.
Perfect.
Right.
So when are we expecting to hear from them?
They did
They've
this
been
survey
out.
work a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, we'll give them a little bit of time to sort of get their surveys.
So we looking within 1 to 3 months?
Absolutely, yeah. And we have a designated engineering firm, and we have a field agent, and we have a designated engineer, so that you talk about triangles, even within that firm, we have the different people that we need to be communicating with.
Okay, so things are happening.
They are.
I have a question. It's hard to do, and I know it's hard to do. Are the neighbors, or at least the people that live there, being notified when
Yeah.
we're gonna be out, or when the surveyors are out? That's what,
That stuff. and that-
yeah, I get it. That's what, you know, I can push it out to, you know, my email list if you'd like, if, you know, if you want me to push that information out. But that's how this came about.
Right.
You know, the neighbors are concerned, they saw people out there, and
Absolutely, understand, and I mean, a lot of it was weather dependent.
Yeah.
It seems like they found they got a good bit of drone work, it's, you can only do it on certain types of days, and I'm sure they saw an opening, and they went, but they had notified the abutters at that point, so I mean, the word was out. But we can work on that, we can definitely work on the notification.
it was, if I may, it was very helpful to have the DEC out there at the site visit and to, you know, explain the history of, you know, their work and what has to be done, what needs to be done as far as they're concerned, and the notion that there are options, possibly, you know. And I'm gonna say it, we shouldn't take the least expensive option. This is, you know, something that people in the community value. It is a natural resource now, and
It's a quality of life issue, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Absolutely, and as it develops, again, we're a little short on visual support here, but, you know, when we start getting some feedback from the engineers, we'll have more in the way of renderings and things, so we can show you what our options are, as we go along, so.
Questions by any other legislators? How about by the public? Please come up, state your name, sign in where you're from.
Can I ask what your name is?
Neil Toman.
Oh, so you're representing Phillipstown in this
No,
project?
Putnam County.
I'm Kathy Corey, I live in Continental Village, have for 45 years. What I understand is that little pond was appreciated by the local Indians that came before any of us, okay? If anyone is to blame about flooding downstream, I would think it's the building inspectors that allow houses to be built right below it, okay? There is concrete on two ends of the pond. There are sewers on the road around the pond. I don't understand why something's gonna cost $3 million. This sounds like.
That is just a thrown out number.
Last year's $1 million, and now it's $3 million. And the fence around it, what good is that for the animals that go there and drink water? I mean, I was there for 10 minutes, I have a merle in that pond, and there were like 30 different kinds of birds that were in that area.
Kathy, all I can say is personally, I agree with you, but this is being mandated by New York State.
Okay, New York State, does it have to be done this way, or can we just build up the infrastructure without steel and concrete and all of this? I mean, maybe concrete. We paid $1 million for the dam for the lake that we enjoy. Why is this little pond so expensive? Anybody know? Yeah?
I actually spoke to a resident recently over through Nancy, in Legislature Montgomery.
Did you call me right? Yes.
I'm sorry, Chairman. We actually spoke the other day about somebody that was further up that had a dam in their backyard. It was going to cost them $1 million just themselves too, that ran
Well, I know
along.
we can have,
Yeah,
other
there's, of course, right,
Yes,
so
but-
it's very expensive, and as the years go on, right, with the water, and as we talk about stormwater
Just
and
put more
drainage
sewers
and moving things around.
Or do something that doesn't destroy the whole ecosystem and our enjoyment of it. Being able to maybe come and sit down and bring a blanket and, watch the turtles or whatever.
Well, I think it's good that they have all the people involved now, at least we're moving forward with options.
How ugly is that?
I can't speak to that, I'm just trying to explain the cost of things as they've gone up.
You know what, they have to come up with better. As far as I'm concerned, because we're a continental village, we pay higher taxes than anyone else in Phillipstown. And, we have a couple of nice little water features, and we treasure them. And we pay the money to, maintain the lake. This little pond is necessary, as far as I'm concerned. Just because, great blue herons come, we have turkeys, we have deer, we have bear. They use that.
Legislator Montgomery.
I have a question for the DEC, if it's okay. I'm curious about the earthen dams, and is that something that the DEC is, to work on an earthen dam, to improve an earthen dam, is that still even allowable?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
I just thought maybe they don't allow it anymore.
Lots of earthen dams, there's lots of technology that can be used in conjunction with earthen dams. So it's getting one, that's probably the most prevalent dam in the state is under construction. And just real quick, you mentioned grants, the highest potential dam grant. So that's typically for highest class C dams. We've been trying to get into the but they haven't yet. But last year in the DEC, in the Farmland, or what I call the improvement project, that was for C's and D's.
And that was 500,000, right?
That was, 20 million was awarded
But
last
it was
year.
500,000 per, sorry, 500,000 per project.
It was upwards of, I think it was 2.5 million max for class C and 2 million for D. I might be off.
So we can look into those.
But if that's offered again, if they usually come out in the spring, just keep your eye out for that. It's a short window, but is it class C dam is.
And that was through the states, so that would be.
So that gets announced through DEC.
Yeah.
And
Possibly provide.
Oh, they do.
there's glass.
Yeah, but we're gonna need to submit plans,
Yeah.
et cetera, so we have to continue with the design to get to that point, correct? No. Okay.
It's an application to either do work on a dam or remove it, and, if you, there's different things that can affect your score, but final plans and stuff.
And will consideration be given for a combination of, let's say, mechanical pumping, low switches, pumping in addition to the earthen dam?
So, all I can comment is on how it went last year, because this year's hasn't gone out yet. So, last year's, for instance, this dam was rated as an unsound efficiency recognized. So that's a bad rating, but that's for that category, that's the highest score. Just because, for instance, if you have your documents up to date, last year, you got points for that. For instance, if your emergency action plan was current, was last updated in the previous calendar year, you got points for certain things like that. I can tell you this dam isn't up to date on those things, so that you might want to consider updating those, consider requirements, because that can impact your score. So I would look at last year's grant, it's still online. You might be glad to send a link to last year's, to give you a flavor of what one might be for this year. If you want to apply, you may improve your score. So that's a.
Is there a match with that?
So, last year, I think it was 25%. I don't know what it is this year, that, again, it hasn't been announced this year. So,
Be a great resource for us to at least look at and try and see. I don't know.
That's
It's
strategic.
time is, yeah, that's a time question, but money help financially?
Yeah, I mean, through chair, all options are open for us, so I think it's,
Thank you so much.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
We just touched quickly on the Brook Bridge, and I know there's a lot of people here from the public, and I don't know if
By all means, please, let's revisit it.
again, another project in Continental Village, and there may be some people here who want to speak on it. As you heard, the detours back to normal, the project's on target. It's been a big concern to the folks in that area. We've tried to address the speeding issue. People are feeling really unsafe, and I know that's the nature of these projects, and trying to get them through and done. And it's not easy, so I don't know if anybody, I don't want to take over for the chairman, but if anybody.
No, by all means, anybody who have any questions, comments on Brook Bridge?
through the chair, there has been great communication really with all stakeholders as far as the construction of it, and you know, again, it's an enforcement issue. We've done everything kind of down there we can possibly do as far as DOT standards and putting up extra signs, and you know, it's not it's the people who live in the area that are speeding. You know, it's not one of those places that you're cutting through. You know, it's not a cut through like the Simpson is or something. It's, you know, so it really is an enforcement kind of thing, and we've worked with our sheriff's department's worked with, they put extra patrols down there. They've actually done 24-hour extra patrols, so they're going around the clock, and then they've contacted state police on the other side of Westchester County, because it seems like a lot of it's coming from the southern side. So again, we continue to communicate and try to enforce whenever that's, people are going to start getting tickets. That's what's going to happen.
Yes. Please state your name, come to the podium, and where you live. And there is a sign-in sheet.
My name is Paula Claire, and I live under the dam area. I'm pretty concerned after hearing from the DEC that we should do this immediately, do one thing or another. I mean, personally, I'm more in favor of fixing the dam than not fixing it, because of similar concern as my colleague over there. You know, I'm concerned about the animals and also the nature of the neighborhood. You know, I do want to say that the pond is like a bubble, and my house is on a hill, and there's been a lot of erosion in the past year. And I think that it's probably because of the spillage from the dam. So I'm particularly concerned about having something done one way or the other.
The good thing is this dam has been here at least well over 50 years. Some people have saying over 100, and we had things, you know, the
No.
Okay, but I mean, it's been there for a very substantial period of time, and we've survived some of these really torrential rains, and nothing has let go, and I'm sure the earth has been compacted over time.
Yeah.
So it's a concern which DEP is brought forth, and steps are being taken, but I'm not an engineer, I'm not a professional engineer, but it does not appear that there's any immediate or imminent danger at this point. So I can see someone shaking their head yes in the gallery. So hopefully we can address this in a timely manner and safe to everybody.
I do want to say though that in the past year I've seen a lot of erosion of the soil on my property, and even actually going past my property onto my neighbor's property, where the soil had gone into his driveway. So
from the spillway at the dam?
I mean, I don't know. I'm an engineer, but I think that there's a good possibility.
That's what the engineer will be able to determine.
Right, we'd appreciate it if you would send an email or just leave a note here for your property so we can identify and see,
Okay.
see what's
Could
going
you
on.
sign in and call it and give your address if you don't mind?
Yes, thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
My name is Howard Rolls. I'm Paul's partner. I'm technically not a resident, although part-time resident for the past 25 years, if I may speak on her behalf. Yeah, we live at the bottom end of the, below the pond. And what caught my ear was the notion, in one of the scenarios, of repair was referring to a spillway in one of the solutions. And when I picture a spillway, right now the property that's adjacent to us, now is a property that had recently been sold to the neighbor and had been kept in its natural state. The idea that that would become a spillway, some sort of constructed spillway, would be disturbing. If it needed to be the case.
Well, currently it's approximately between 12 and 18 inches wide. There is a spillway. And what people have been talking about at this point, and obviously this is going to be evolving, and what the experts say is that may have to change to a concrete of similar, but it's something that's at the very, very top. It's adjacent to the dam. It's literally an overflow. That's what the spillway is.
Maybe the engineers can clarify, but I would imagine that one of the possibilities is that it would extend from the dam, from the base of the dam, down to right next to our property is the first culvert that the water from the pond and the stream that empties it. The first culvert that it encounters is right at the corner of our property before it then gets piped down to the stream. My primary request is that we be made part of the process. It seems to me, and this is addressed by a lot of people, as to how we get informed, who gets informed. There's all sorts of issues in terms of with respect to various solutions that the engineers may come up with, in terms of the cost, in terms of configuration, in terms of what might be preserved or not preserved. And it seems to me that we and our neighbors have a strong interest in what those solutions can be, and that we not preclude the possibility of it being something more in keeping with what it is now, and not have the engineer, not have the problem, have the engineer solve the problem, and have the problem we solve based upon cost and some sort of strictly engineering solution, but something maybe that could be that the community can participate in as well, to protect our interests.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioners, you want to say anything here?
If you'd like me to, sure.
Please.
Through the chair. Yeah, it's premature now to talk about any kind of design or cost at this time. And our job is just to put it together, right? Our job is to take the information, give the options, and you guys hold the goal, right? So,
But after you do all the options, we have to submit it to DEC, and DEC has to sign off on it.
right.
That's it. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Now this is where I just want to deviate from the order. Instead of going here to item 4, I would just like to go to item 7, which is an update on the Fair Street reconstruction project. So Commissioner Fugere, you're right there. Residents have reached out and they've raised a very serious concern because of the construction. They've been not getting egress both directly to Fair Street from the entrance of the condos, and also what was supposed to help a temporary, which was an emergency exit road. Some of the concerns that have been brought forward is that because of the construction, there's been delays where children are missing school buses because they've been stuck out there. So if you complete, and there's from what I see, there's supposed to be flagmen during certain hours at both locations. And I understand the town of Carmel also has responsibility on this. So if you would please clarify and let us know where we are, and I'd love to hear from the residents and see what we can do to improve this and minimize any inconvenience, because people obviously are being inconvenienced, and I'm sure no one wants that.
Yes, Chair, I mean, every project has its challenges, right? And every time we hear something, bad feedback, we address it. So today we met with the Carmel Fire Department. That egress was never supposed to be part of a detour route whatsoever. It's an emergency access that's controlled by the Carmel Fire Department and the town of Carmel. So we were never supposed to be using that at any time. That was strictly for an emergency situation.
Because it appears that the residents were not, that was not the information that they had. It was supposed to be a detour to make life easier for them.
Yeah, it was never part of the plan. It may have been, sorry, there was many iterations of the plan.
And this thing is years.
Right, the one we went, we went in front of the county at the DES a year and a half ago. There was no plans for that to be used, except for emergency. Right. Now, with respect to this is the hardest part right now, because you've got 3 or 4 separate pieces of this going on. With utilities. Obviously, we're building a bypass road now, bypass bridge on the bottom. And it should get better, is the best news. If there is a problem with, if we have, I think it's Chief Hooten from Carmel Fire Department, he's got our cell phone, call us, he lives on Kings Grant. So he said, give us a call, we can get the flag. By the way, they're probably the best flaggers I've seen in all my history if you've gone down that road. I don't care what the weather is, they're dancing, they're smiling, they're the nicest people in the world. And they've done a great job. But if there is and you do know, and the company has been really responsible. So we've had a couple of problems with water mains. One was on a Sunday. It was fixed in 2 hours. They cruise in there. If we call them and say, listen, Kings Grant has a problem during these hours for, let's say, busing, onloading, offloading, they'll address it. They will definitely go take care of it. We should be passed within the next week and a half past the Kings Grant entrance, which would be great. And then most of the Kings Grant people can make a left onto decent pavement and get around with the detour. But again, it's a 2-year project. It's going to have its challenges, like anything else. But I think the end product is all to be working with, so it's done.
Before I ask for any comments here, just so people are up to speed, I'd appreciate if the people from Kings Grant would please tell us your concerns.
What we're really looking for is that emergency exit, to have the town temporarily open it for us. And it's not even used by that many people, only if you're going out towards Hillendale Road. If you gotta go Fair Street one way or another, you're stuck with whatever, and the flaggers are great. They really have done a great job. But the residents on Wainwright have been threatening. I think even Hooten's daughter was threatened by somebody saying he's gonna shoot her. I mean, they've thrown branches, blocked the road, where when this first happened, our manager contacted Mike Carnazza with the town, said we want to open up the road temporarily while this construction's going on. At first he gave us the okay, correct? And at that point, we were using it. Then these threats, he's getting complaints from the people. He finally tells us close it back again. The volume of people that are using it, it's not a hell of a lot. I don't know, there's 4 houses on Wainwright. I don't know what their issue is. It's a 30-mile-an-hour road. No one's speeding. I happen to live up on the end over there. I see people coming and going. I don't see anybody speeding, going through. But there has been issues with the residents on Wainwright.
Anybody else? And please fill out when you're done.
Okay, my name is Sharon DeCourcy, I'm a resident of Kings Grant. I speak today as a resident of Kings Grant and a full-time working mother, trying to get their child to school in the morning. Our normal commuting hours require me to leave the house by 7:30, 7:45 the latest. The 7:45 time is not the norm, but allows for all the things that can go wrong and still get my child to school on time. Prior to Fair Street construction, this time frame was reasonable and allowed me time to get both my son and myself to school and work on time. Since construction has started, my child is late at least twice a week, which is not ideal. Being late means he gets to school after the first bell and he's missing morning announcements. My response to the school each and every time, sorry, Fair Street construction. As any mother would do, we adjust our time accordingly. However, the earlier we leave in the morning, the traffic I experience trying to get out of Kings Grant is worse. 3 or 4 cars deep, trying to make a left onto Fair Street takes more time than I think people realize. Not everyone who is waiting patiently to move as traffic backs up is eager to let us slip in. In fact, some pretend to not even see us as we try to squeeze in. With any luck, we can get in, but before the flaggers stop traffic again, and we have to wait for another 3-way cycle of traffic to get back to us so that we can get out. Forget about getting out anytime there are school buses present on Fair Street to get to the middle school. Every morning is now a guessing game, and my son and I try to make light of it, but all fun and games end when your child announces, well, great, now I missed breakfast. And suddenly me as a parent am responsible for everything that has gone wrong in the world. We live off of Fair Street, and I get it, and I expect inconveniences. What I don't appreciate is the off-road adventure and the conditions that Fair Street is now. I don't even try to turn right onto Fair Street anymore if I don't have to. Eventually, someone's car will be severely damaged by the condition of it. Even at slow speeds, the some potholes, both natural and man-made, have caused my car more than once to make unpleasant sounds as I try to maneuver around them. I also don't appreciate the construction and the crew vehicles parked by the entrance, blocking my vision of oncoming traffic trying to get out. I don't appreciate my child telling me he's missed breakfast, and I don't appreciate getting to work late almost every day. I need consistency. I'm asking the county to step in and work with the town of Carmel over the secondary exit entrance located on Wainwright. I understand that it's an emergency exit, but for a project going on this long, I can't understand why we can't allow it to be a detour. It's not like many of us use it. It's mostly just parents trying to get their kids to school. If the project is going to last until 2026, then I need a little relief. Having use of this entrance would mean I can avoid Fair Street altogether. My neighbors who share similar time constraints can as well. There are approximately 150 homes. Most of them are 2-car households. More if you have teenagers who drive by the time I leave in the morning, and a lot of these cars are leaving with me. If you came into our community midday during the week, I would approximate 3/4 of these cars are off property. All of them would be included via one exit on Fair Street. I understand the community members of Wainwright suggested this, but I wasn't aware that public roads were suddenly off limit when it comes to detours. We are the definition of biting our noses despite our faces, because there are simple solutions to ease the traffic on Fair Street, allowing all of the residents of Carmel to get to where they need to be with less cumbersome problems for those who do need to travel on Fair. But yet, here we are.
Thank you. Before we try and address this, would someone else please speak? Yes.
I'm not going to feedback from the schools. Have they had to readjust their bus schedules at all due to the Fair Street congestion? You have enough feedback, or they haven't?
Oh, kids are just walk later, yeah.
That's kids.
I doubt even the school is going to address this whatsoever. Their bells are gonna go.
I just was wondering if the buses were late as well. It just was a question.
I do know that the buses do leave the middle school on time. They leave at 7:55, that's consistent. At 7:55, they roll out all the school buses, and those of us are there who are waiting to get into the school have to wait for them to all come out. But what I have noticed is, in that time frame of like 7:50 to like 8:10, there's a lot of cars still trying to get their kids to school.
Yeah, from having 2 kids at George Fisher Middle School yesterday, I know about the lines and having to go to the back of the school.
Yes.
And having typically the assistant principal controlling traffic
Yes, yes.
with his vest, so I completely understand.
Yes.
Sir, please let us know your concern and let's see if we can find some potential solutions and address this.
My name is Barry Corsi, I'm the president of Mass Association of Case Rep. I want to give you a little feedback. About 5 years ago, we repaid Case Rep. And when we repaid it, we did the whole thing, and when we got to the front entrance, we contacted Mike Carmel because we kept because let them know that we were going to use the rear entrance because we couldn't go around the front. With that, we did that for about 3 days. The phone calls from the individual on Wainwright, contacting management, contacting the town, this went on and on and on. So when the town came to us in 2022 and asked us about the use of the common easement for the sidewalk and all of that, we had to go in agreement with them. With that, the only thing that we asked for, with all of it, it wasn't even the $450 that you guys gave us. It was so that if we were come into this situation, we could use the back entrance. Okay, obviously I do know that you received that letter also from the highway department. That was the only thing we agreed to, and the agreement was that the county and the town was going to deal with the individuals on Wainwright. That was our agreement. Once that happened, back in I would say end of February, we contacted Mike Carmel. Told them that we were going to open up the rear entrance because the front entrance was just too much of a backup because we've got people getting work late. Now, obviously, you guys deal with the whole county, and I feel sorry for all the residents. I know it's a tough job. I deal with 150 homes, and the stress is just nonstop. But with that being said, we went by everything that we agreed to. We tried to be good neighbors. We contacted the county. We contacted the town also. Now we're being told we're being brought into court, telling us now our parking spots aren't correct, and we have to, yes, and we're going to court tomorrow for that. On that. Okay, this has been going on and on. We're already probably in about $10,000 for something that we agreed with the county that the county was going to take care of. So this is just getting worse and worse. Once we got our notice last week, we closed the back entrance again. Okay, with that, we're back to stoppage. Now, to the point of Fair Street. Listen, they're all great. I'm not saying the workers are great, the flagmen are great. I work in the city all the time, you would never see this type of work done. That's just plain and simple. They're very polite, but there's only too few of them. Okay, when you deal with Fair Street, if you drive up from 52 down to Hillendale, there's only one condominium complex on the road, Kingsgrove. We are the only ones being affected by it. All private homes, yes, they're all being affected, but they come, they go to work, it's 1, maybe 2 cars. We're dealing with a community of maybe 450 a day coming in and out every day that I get all these complaints with, that why we stressed at the beginning, we would use the rear entrance. Now on your behalf, saying it's only an emergency entrance, they also told us to put a chain on the rear entrance. As an emergency, now since I was the president, I said, okay, listen, I have no problem locking the emergency exit. But if there's an emergency, then the fire department, the county, the police, they should take responsibility. If someone can't get out that way because of a fire and the house is all connected, that should be on the King's grant or to us. We keep on getting letters back saying, we give you the approval to put a chain on it. I've never asked for approval. That's what they keep on coming back and telling us. So I don't understand this whole Wainwright exit. We close it, we put zip ties on it, off, and then emergency, you can cut it. You don't have that. Not a problem. I have no problem or the board to follow the rules, but we agreed to something that the county has left us down, and we're already at about $10,000, and we're going to court tomorrow over this. So this is blackmail on top of it. I have to say, I have to be honest, but I have to do what's right for my residents, as you guys have to do what's right for the county. But our agreement is, and you see the letters, that says we can use it in need. Now, with the homeowners of there threatening guns, putting logs across the back entrance. We've had cops there. No one does anything. At this point, this is why we're here. Just to plead our case, just so that we can have actually just dialogue. Because honestly, dialogue, I think with a little communication, we resolve this problem pretty easy. But we're kind of in a bind.
Don't you say it any easier?
Thank you. Is there a way that the county, and I don't know who to ask this, maybe Tommy, is there a way that we would have the authority to maybe send the residents a letter and just tell them that this is a necessity at this time to open up that road, the access road?
Sorry, through Chair, all those access roads are controlled by the fire departments actually. The road itself is town property, and it goes on to a town road.
So you're saying town of Carmel Fire Department is the authority who has this?
So all those emergency access out of, whether it's Eno Crosby has one, most of these other, it's gotta be a separate way in for fire trucks, and that's all controlled by the fire departments.
So have you contacted, this is to the residents, has anyone contacted the fire departments, the Carmel Fire Department?
Yes.
And what did they say?
They tell us, well, the town is telling you have to have it closed, so we said, okay, and then they said, well, then our attitude was that you guys take responsibility if you want a chain and a lock on this fence. They keep on writing back to us, giving us approval to do this. That's not what we asked for. We keep on saying, you guys take the responsibility, God forbid there's a fire, and all those houses start, go up, and now people try to get out, they can't get out. That's on you. That shouldn't be on us if you're telling us to do this. I think putting zip ties on there, heavy duty zip ties, it's closed, no one's driving in and out. What is the problem? They keep on coming back saying they give us approval to do, which is something we've never asked.
Legislator Birmingham.
Yeah, quick question. Just trying to follow the chronology or the order that the fire department gives you permission, can give you permission to use the road, but then they're telling you that the town said you can't use the road.
Because I come down as the neighbor.
He's the building inspector for the town. Right. Have you tried to petition the town board? They have a meeting this Wednesday. And maybe I'm a stranger to this, to this issue. Have you reached out to the town board and asked them to?
Not the town board, we've been in contact with Mike and Anza. We've showed them our agreement with the county, and this is our problem, is our agreement was with the county and the Department of Highway. It's not with the town, so they don't really want to help us.
But this agreement, I apologize, Mike, this agreement with the county says what? That we can use?
That we could use it if there was going to be an issue with Fair Street going out as we sent over.
And this goes back to
2022.
2022.
Okay. Because that's when it was supposed to start. It was supposed to be done by 2024. Then it went late, and now we're going to 2026.
Yeah, the letter I saw was signed by John Tully.
Yeah. Okay. He was deputy commissioner at the time of highways.
Right.
Yeah. I think maybe the remedy might lie within the town board. Maybe if you want to reach out to them. I know Mr. Pernaz is a town official and he's a building inspector. But perhaps you want to reach out to the town board as well to see if they might have some suggestions.
Is this something where access, as a compromise where access can be granted for specific times of the day? Because to me,
that's my head, just especially in the morning hours.
Yeah, right.
Which I've spoken with management already, and I said, I'd be more than willing to call in an out-handy guy, come in, have him open it up at 7, and maybe close it at 10 in the morning. Not a problem. Let the rush hour get out during the day. That's not a big deal. The main thing is those hours.
Specifically school.
School, work, and we do have a big elderly community, so doctors' appointments, things like that, just for them to get out. But
Maybe it's a compromise that you can. Yeah. I think you should go. That's
Legislator Montgomery.
I just am trying to understand it, and I don't think we're gonna solve it here because we're not engineers, but your preference is to use that as access out. That.
From Monday to Friday.
Yeah. And the other option is your private road goes out onto Fair Street. Is that correct? And that's the problem.
Entrance and
And I know you don't want to use Fair Street, the condition of it is not so.
No, we agree.
But
We have a lot of homeowners though in this community, so there are, I mean, it's 150 homes average, every household, 2 cars, some will have 3.
So.
There are significant delays even with the flag there for under the being.
And it's a flagger, it's not so
Well,
much.
let's put it this way, let's say they're doing work on Hellendale, which they were, and the flaggers will be there. Now, you're doing a little work further down around where the S-turn is, and the flag is there. There's no flagger at Kings Grant, so now if the cars are all coming up blocked because of the work being done by Hellendale,
So
now all those cars are there, so a lot of those cars, they won't even let you get out, because they've been waiting to get through. So that backs everything up into the community.
So my thought is the solution would be to have a crossing guard there for that short period of time. That's what we do in Manhattan, that's what.
That was our agreement that stated either another flagger for Kings Grant or for a rear entrance.
The flagger would be up to the construction company, the municipality, the county in agreement with the town, like in the town of Phillipstown. We actually pay for the crossing guards by the school, the road that crosses to the school. So, not to add, I don't think that, I don't know, this, and I really don't think we can solve this here, but I don't think that the contractor is going to give another flagger. I think it's a safety issue, life quality issue, and I think the county needs to consider, with partnership with the town, sharing funding possibly for a crossing guard for that period of time onto
Do you
there.
have our letter from that we agreed to in 2022? That's exactly what that stated, that the county and
The letter that you guys were so kind to provide said that there was something where the county was responsible for a flagger. And like I said, it just came to us, came to my attention early in the week. So as soon as I got it, so I put you on the agenda because this is something that we need more information we need to address.
Anyone want to see it?
Send it to me, you can send it.
Yes, and it's Putco Ledge.
Putco Ledge,
Okay.
Putcoleg at Putnam County, NY.
Tommy or Joe, do you have any ideas?
I put you on the spot there.
We all did tonight, poor Tom.
Listen, I get it. We all have to do, we don't want to impede, especially what's going on. And I just think there just needs to be a little compromise, a little communication. And what the town technically right now is doing is just ridiculous at this point.
I mean, we can reach out to the food chair through, like, tomorrow, just to see if there's any viability for it.
Is it worthwhile asking Sheriff from Conville to come in on this conversation?
No, again, it's all that coordination is, yes, the contractor will definitely put another flag in there for another.
It needs a
cost.
crossing guard, it needs somebody to.
It's the coordination within the construction itself. So it's, by putting in, you can really screw up the other flaggers, letting and releasing traffic.
Sure.
By sticking in.
And they need radio.
You could even make it worse, really. And you want to see angry people, that's when you start seeing angry people.
Which is why we had that one agreement to say, just open it up to the rear entrance, and that's why we foresighted it and said that, and that's the only thing we asked for the time being. And I get those homeowners, they had a nice private street, and with construction, we're using it, now that they're not happy, I get it, I'm not naive to know it should. But at the same token, that's 4 homes compared to 150 homes. And there's not that many going out early in the morning.
So, if I may, is that street private?
No, so
It's the town, so.
the access is private.
Not private.
The access is private. Wainwright's the town road.
So actually, see, that's where it gets a little confusing too, though, because they say it's theirs, but we're liable to keep it up to date. So, I mean, is it theirs or is it ours?
I mean, I do think that, sorry, but, let's say Birmingham has the, going Wednesday is really a good idea. I mean, that's where we get.
The pressure on the reps there too. I'm feeling it.
We'll try, But the reason why we came here is because our agreement was with the county.
Right, and as soon as it was brought to our attention, that's why we invited you here. And, you know, more information we have, more helpful it is, so.
Hopefully someone can call it down to us too.
I might be a silly question. Tom, is there a way in the morning to start it? I know the construction went down further on Fair Street.
You know, we'll have a conversation with the contractor tomorrow, just to put an emphasis on the time period, you know, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, it makes a lot of sense. And, you know, they're in that area right now, actually, so.
To be fair, no, let's not in construction, there's only so much that they can do also, you know, work has to be done, it has to be done, and you don't wanna push, let's dig up the road at 9 o'clock in the morning, and now you just lost 2.5 hours, and now we're gonna push it off to 7, 8 o'clock at night. So, I mean, you know, I mean, within reason, there's gotta be common sense also in that. And that's why we do it by opening up the rear for a couple of cars, just to get to the, you know.
Seems like common sense, but.
Any other comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes.
I know, just very quickly, it sounds like the frustration here is that I heard there's a lack of communication, I think, and the county DPW is doing a phenomenal job, the best job that they can. I had a chance meeting with some of the DPW workers on this job a couple weeks ago. They explained a lot of the complexities. I live here in Carmel, so it's a very top of mind project that's going on. And I just wanted to commend the DPW workers for how they're working. Made more complex, made more difficult by what we're hearing. And these residents have an obvious issue that needs to get rectified. What it sounds like is that all lies at the town. All of the stakeholders that can actually make and do a decision here are not here in the room. And so I think going Wednesday is great for them. But what I would ask, and this is a process question I don't know the answer to, could the legislature here in the county, given that this is impacting county work, impacting county residents, could they request the town board or town representatives or whoever's been on these agreements to come here and explain why their seemingly lack of cooperation is impacting county work and county residents?
I mean, of course, the legislature could, but so can DPW.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to, look, I'm in complete support of residents.
Yeah.
But I'm going to defer to Commissioner Fier and Commissioner Belushi because they're in the weeds. They know exactly what's going on. They even people who are monitoring the construction. You know, this is my district. I invited these people here as soon as I found out. I'm more than willing to do that, but I'm going to defer to you guys. If you have any suggestions,
Yeah, we'll reach out to Carmel tomorrow just to see what they're, I know that there may be litigation on this right now, so, which means.
Against Carmel.
Full stoppage. Yeah, they're not gonna do anything, when the litigation is in process. So, but I will find out what they can do. And we'll talk to the contractor tomorrow. Just every once in a while, it's good to remind them, just the emphasis on schools getting in, schools getting out, you know, the morning, afternoon, rush hour kind of thing. They've been, and I gotta say, they've been incredibly responsive. You know, if we get a call, it's a giant pothole. I mean, we've had a crazy winter, right, in weather. So, you know, and especially when they're putting out a temporary subbase or a temporary, you know, whether it's a road plate, you know, they've got a patch all the way around the roadway, right? You know, when you get some rains or freeze, thaw off kind of stuff situations, it's not it's a Band-Aid on a giant wound, you know, but they've been responsive. As soon as we call, they come right out and take care of it. So I just want to respond to that too.
I just want to thank Tommy and DPW. Thank you. Thank you, Legislator Elmer, for amplifying this.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Okay, let's move along here to item 4, which is discussion. I'm sorry? Okay. Which is discussion for the chairperson of the legislature to approve appointments to the Putnam County Ag and Farmland Protection Board. I believe Mark Gross is here. I just point to the legislators that there is a confidential backup, which we accepted already as an additional. Good evening, Chairman.
I actually wanted to introduce the meeting last Thursday.
Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board appointed a new chair, Christine Nastasi.
Congratulations, thank you.
So, part of the meeting was to, at the request of Chairman Sage, to make recommendations to fill the 2 vacancies on the board. The board previously received 5 applications. We had a secret ballot, of which we made recommendations to Chairman Sage on the positions. She had requested that it be presented to the Civil Services Committee as well.
And that's what we're doing. I have a question for the law department. One of the applicants was involved with some litigation to the county, and I want to make sure that that applicant was given full and due consideration. Was there any restriction towards that applicant?
None.
Was there anything said regarding that applicant, any limitations, should they be one of the people who were appointed?
We were not present at the meeting, so I can't speak as to what was said, but I know that Legislator Crowley was, and she can comment.
I can speak to that. So, number one, Commissioner Rosa and I recorded the entire meeting on Teams, so that is available at, I assume, anyone's request. And it was stated that if that applicant was chosen, they would have to recuse themselves for a vote until the lawsuit was done, and recuse themselves from their own parcel while sitting on the board if voted in.
And that decision was rendered by the county law department?
That was a communication from the county law department.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you both. Okay, so let's continue.
So there's the secret ballot, 2 individuals received 3 votes, and another individual received 2 votes. So the individuals that received the majority vote are 2 recommended.
Okay. So at this point, I just want to check with the law department, because I just want everybody to weigh in. Do we have any issues with naming the 2 top vote getters, so we can see if anybody has any pros, cons, concerns?
I see no restriction on that.
Okay. So the 2 top vote getters were?
Elizabeth Ryder and Joni Lansing.
Okay, Elizabeth Ryder of Ryder Farms, is that correct?
She was at Carmel.
Okay, and, okay.
So there's 2 positions. One was a farmer rep and one was a farmer agribusiness rep.
Okay.
Joni Lansing is recommended for the agribusiness.
Okay, so first I'm going to ask anybody in the committee, do they have any pros, cons, or comments regarding these 2 applicants? Anyone on the legislature have any concerns? Okay, yes?
I'm just glad to see that we're making progress and moving forward. We have the next meeting scheduled for the 30th at the planning building, and hopefully we'll continue moving forward and making this this board functioning again. It's less capacity.
Okay, is there anyone from the public who'd like to comment?
May I say something?
Yes.
So I appreciate that you announced me, but I wasn't appointed. The board elected.
Oh, yes, you're elected, I'm talking about these other
Okay,
people.
but
Yes.
you said appointed, but I'm elected. I just want
Yes.
to make sure you understand I was appointed. And the chairperson of the legislature, Chairwoman Sage, she appoints the vacancies.
Correct.
She asked for our recommendations. So I just want to make sure that's perfectly.
Correct, and now we're just opening it up to people who were not there, were not aware of the meeting, so we can get comment from legislators, and most importantly, public comment.
No, I just wanted to comment if the chair recognizes me.
Yes.
So So like we had several legislators that were there, weren't involved that much, but legislator Sage did stay at that meeting. So tonight would be where all the legislators would get to discuss it. She unfortunately could not be here, but then if the legislature decides, I believe what was said to the ground, or to the board, was that a memo would then be issued like the last chairman for approval. I'm pretty sure that's what was said. Yes, so that's why it's come before everybody and it's standard procedure. And congratulations on your work.
So now we're going to go back. Is there any public comments on please come up, state your name, town, and sign in.
Hi, I'm Ariel Novich of Patterson. I'm excited to see that there's some movement in this because, as we all know, this has been a pretty hot topic for a while. And I just wanted to take a moment to say a couple things. I was one of the other applicants. I understand how things work in legalities and stuff. A year ago, pretty much close to today, if not a month or so later on, I would not have been able to say, oh, I would be standing here asking to be considered for this type of position. Nor did I think that I would be attending every ag board meeting for almost a year, let alone many, many nights of legislative meetings, bringing my 2-year-old who got lucky and got to go home. I have showed up for everything. Ironically, I only spoke on the videoing. I haven't even talked about the farming stuff. I feel like I'm a qualified candidate. On top of farming and starting a farm from nothing and turning it into a viable business and a very larger scale farm than we started. I am formerly elementary special ed teacher. And for anyone not familiar with what an ICT class is an integrated co-taught classroom. And the importance of that type of classroom is that you have a general education teacher, and I'm going to bring this back to why this makes sense. A special education teacher, and then you have all these other service providers. You have speech, you have physical therapists, occupational therapists. I was hand selected for that specific position because I'm not just good with special ed kids, I'm not just good with gen ed kids, I'm a collaborative team player, and that's a very specific type of classroom where you have to be able to talk to kids, talk to adults, talk to all of these other providers. And one of the focuses with that is that the most positive and the most successful classrooms are the ones that are seamless, where the team is working together, and sometimes you can't even tell whose job is which because everyone is working so much in unison. So I would like to think with a bachelor's in animal science and management and building a farm from nothing with pretty much no help, obviously, other than my husband, and my background in collaboration, that although I'm a first-generation farmer, I didn't grow up with a family teaching me to do this. The combination of my animal science education and my experience with special education and the fact that I have been here every meeting for a year makes me feel like I at least deserve to be considered to be a part of this change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments? Is there anyone else from the public?
She covered a lot of what I was going to cover on her behalf, because again, I think you guys have seen, I think all five candidates, right, for the new board composition. I think all 5 candidates are qualified. Reading through old minutes and things like that, I've seen in the past, it was preferred, I think it was Denise Maya that they mentioned that it's preferred to bring diversity of representation of different towns. We have a lot of folks down. We have some southeast, a couple southeast, I think. Patterson, no representation on that board right now. Am I incorrect? Is there anybody from Patterson? Patterson specifically seems to have a very gross misunderstanding of what the ag board exists for, to do, programs they have, the support that they do. I think for that reason, a person from Patterson, again, someone who represents also a minority of the size of farms, Because in the last 2004 plan, when you were on the legislature, it was, I think, 3 farms in the entire county were over 100 acres, in or outside the act. I think, you know, for that reason, I think, again, everybody's qualified, but that's another
Valid
thing
reason.
to consider. As far as the part of what she could or couldn't do, I heard, it was, she couldn't vote on her own parcel after litigation.
She couldn't vote on, so I compared it actually to my, sorry, through the chair, to my own situation. So I can't vote on my husband's contract or anything that would benefit my husband. So I compared it to that. Actually, when I spoke on it, I said she could not vote on her own parcel or anything that benefits her parcel.
So wouldn't that apply to every person sitting on the act board?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
that's what I
it was not,
wanted
it
to
was
clarify.
not specific, it was not specific to her, it was just specific to like, Kristen, same thing, she can't, and I actually referenced her during that, I said, like, you can't vote on your horse or equine farm, and I did specifically say that too.
Okay, so that was like my main question was, and I get that makes sense, right? Everybody stay out of their own rules to play with the rest of the board. I just want to make sure that wasn't something specific because of litigation or anything like that, and then once it was over, it's while the litigation is still ongoing, can't vote on anything, or is it can't vote on, like, how does that work?
So I'm gonna,
We have,
law,
I mean, normally anything that affects
That makes sense.
you personally, you should recuse yourself from.
But anything, if it's an ag board, right, and hold through
If
this.
it's a general policy decision, I would assume there's no
No,
restriction.
it really just is if a conflict of interest is implicated in the specific vote that's at issue.
Okay, so then that would apply to every single person, regardless of
Absolutely.
litigation or not.
Correct.
Okay.
yeah, but it was not specific, it's just to anybody with litigation.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense, and I just wanted to agree with that. And again, I think she's pretty much had everything I was gonna say. She has been here, she's brought her kids, she's done all the meetings whether people were looking or not, and I think it's just a good representation from a different side of the county that probably is a healthy dose of education on agriculture. Thank you.
Legislator Montgomery.
Is anybody aware of how many members, the maximum number of members we can have? Is that defined in any resolution that we have?
Yes.
It's set by state law.
Yeah, and it looks like by state law, we can have 8 to 15.
No, on the ag board,
Agricultural Farmland Protection Board.
11.
Board must have at least 4 members, there's no specific maximum number set by state law.
No, there is, it's section 302, section 302, 1A, I believe.
It does. I'll send it.
I have 302 up, but.
If that's something the law department could take, because an additional member brings something to the table.
So there are specific members, there's ex officio members, Commissioner of Planning, Director of Real Properties, Soil and Water Director, Cornell,
Not soil and water director, chairperson of soil and water.
Or staff,
or staff.
or staff.
Or staff.
Appointed by the chairperson.
Uh,
Chairperson of Soil and Water Conservation District's Board of Directors or an employee of the county Soil and Water Conservation District designated by the chairperson.
Do you want to read the rest?
Sure. For our active farmers, one shall represent agribusiness and one member may represent an organization dedicated to agricultural land preservation. As I just said, the Soil and Water Chairperson, a member of the county legislative body, a cooperative extension agent, that's
Cornell.
Excuse me?
Cornell.
Yes. A county planning director, county director of real property taxes.
Commissioner Lockwood.
That's 11.
And it's defined as only 11.
Yes. 5 says, the first sentence says, a county legislative body may establish a county agricultural and farmland protection board which shall consist of 11 members. And then the rest of the stuff I just read to you.
Correct, it's 11.
And those people are within that 11 candidates. Those ex officios
5
are part of the 11.
yes, they're parts of it. And the chairperson, which is me now, gets elected, basically put a set agenda and run the meetings, but everyone has the same power from the board.
Thank
one super quick question, Director. When and how would someone get the audio from the anchor meeting?
I'm just gonna repeat this for people who are watching at home remotely. The question was, when and how would someone get the audio from the Agricultural Farmland Protection Board meeting? Let's do the crowd.
Thank you through the chair. So I was actually going to bring it up at the next meeting to have it, we have a meeting where we're discussing bylaws, and I was actually going to make the suggestion to include it in the bylaws and have it on the county website so that people can access it when they have time. Right now, to get the last one, I'm sure I can get it for you, or does it need to be a foil, or can we just, can I resend it?
Through the chair, it would just be a FOIL request and then you could,
Okay, and then.
until it's put on the website.
Yeah, that was my goal in the next, we had worked on, going through the bylaws, and that's when that was gonna be my suggestion, was to include, adopt new bylaws, any additions that we have and changes, adopt them formally, and then have.
I see we have the Director of IT, so I'm gonna put him on the spot before he gets up here. This is something pretty important, so maybe we can just get this on the YouTube site.
We just get it on the website.
Yeah,
like,
that's
it's
what
not
I was
going
going, that's what I was going to ask. But it-
Absolutely, we can do that.
How long would that take roughly?
You have the video already,
Yes,
15 minutes.
through Teams. So each,
Simple process.
but I did want to adopt it so that it could be.
I agree. I think that's great moving forward, but I think right now, I think that's really good for people that weren't aware. And then moving forward to codify it, right? Like to make sure it continues to happen, but to wait until another meeting. For those people who couldn't make it to 11 a.m. middle of the week meeting, I think instead of everyone being inundated with 20 different FOIL requests, it's just a way to set it.
Agreed.
Semantics, and I'm so stuck on the law, and it's my opinion, and we all have our interpretation of words. We're back to the shall word, and it doesn't say it says shall consist of 11 members. It doesn't say shall not have more than 11 members.
So from what I saw in 1997 is when the Ag Board was developed by legislature. So it actually preceded the Ag District program, which was 2004. So in 1997, the legislature created it. I guess would it be worth reaching out to New York Ag and Markets to ask, can we have more?
Well, it's up to an attorney or it's up to a judge, basically, at this point, because it's your interpretation of the law. But I read shall, I don't read not more than.
You're gonna have to defer to the law department on that.
Not now, though.
So-
Yeah, if you could send a memo, please.
The Jeffrey Keogh, who's the New York State Ag and Markets guy, basically said that all of the ag boards that he's aware of just have 11, and they follow it as the letter.
Through the chair, just, Mr. Keogh is not an attorney, and just for clarification, legal questions for Ag and Markets, everyone should make sure they direct it to counsel's office for Ag and Markets, so that they are getting a legal opinion from Ag and Markets and not just a member's.
Thank you. Yes, Legislator Crowd.
Can I, with your permission, send a request to, or can I just ask tonight, to Commissioner Barosa to send the email to Director Lennon to have it put up on the website?
I think we don't permission necessary, we can just do it. Yeah, we'll just
Perfect,
do it.
so
Whether it's me, you.
Do you mind, Commissioner? And thank you, I appreciate it. Cassandra, thank you for asking.
Okay. Any other comments or input regarding, yes?
No, I just wanted to Legislator Conway's point, I think we do need to have an answer to that, and just to say, about the 11 members, if we can look into that.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
How many did you want?
I don't have a want here. I'm just saying there's an opportunity to have more. There's an interest. I love when the public is interested in local government.
So you're looking to add on the not ex officio side? Because one of the reasons that I was told why it's 5 ex officio and the farmers is because these ex officio's jobs don't bring them into the farming community. Most of them, I'm assuming most of the ones that are ex officio at this point right now have never farmed.
So wouldn't it be beneficial to have, I don't know legally, but
Through the chair, there's a specific balance that's set out in order to favor farmers on this issue, and we would have no control of who would join, as was pointed out. And so at one point it might favor the farmers, but then it could shift and it could not favor the farmers, which is why there is a shall for 11, and it was set with a specific balance for that purpose.
Well, it's not specifically to favor the farmers, but you have farmers who have expertise in the application, in the information in the application.
It favors them in terms of the representation that is there, in terms of the balance, as you pointed out. I was agreeing. I wasn't disagreeing.
No.
And I don't have a want, we have people that are interested.
Yeah.
I have a want to.
Through the chair, there is room, however, for subcommittees to be formed for different purposes that are not directly on the board, but that could meet and comment and everything like that. That is something in your bylaws that you could discuss, provide for, vote on. And there does seem to be a great deal of interest on this topic, on topics related to this, that, you would have the power to do it.
I'd like to say historically, we've had more vacancies than we've had applications. This is, I've only been around for not that long. So we had 5 people who were interested in the 2 vacancies. When I was appointed to the board, there were 2 vacancies and there were 2 people who said, yeah, I guess I'll do it. So
We're
it's
lucky,
hard.
we're lucky that we have a lot of interest.
Yes, so if we increase it, potentially so that it's still a good ratio.
Or establish an advisory board.
yeah, subcommittee, bylaw subcommittee, you could do, you can do.
Yes, but what I'm saying
This
is
is
that.
definitely something that is worth
That's
looking
evolving.
into.
But if we change it to have more seats, it's gonna be harder. Right now, it's not, but who knows in 2 years.
Well, how many, if council, how many voting members are there? Because to me, an ex officio member does not vote.
No, they do.
They do vote in seats.
Everyone has an equal vote.
So that's why there's 11, you're not a number.
Correct.
And so if
Because the chairman votes.
if we add seats, and maybe in 2 years, the cycle's gonna come back around where farmers are like, I'm busy farming to be on this board. So then we'll have empty seats. And not that it's gonna favor the ex officio, but if you have 3 vacant seats for farmers and you still have some.
I can tell you for myself, I'm not looking to upset the balance. I'm looking to get as much input as possible, that's all. Okay, yes?
I just wanted to mention what you said. It wouldn't matter if it said up to 12 seats. It didn't mean that you have to, you're saying you've already got vacancies. So the law wouldn't be changed if what you were voting. That was just.
Okay. So, anybody else, comments? Okay, so, yes.
Sorry, very quick, I promise. That was a great policy walk discussion there. I have no comments on the word shall. I promise. But just quickly back to the very first couple of comments, which were about just representation. For me, and legislature, I think will agree with me on this, we live in the town of Carmel, but we live in the hamlet, which is often feeling underrepresented in the town of Carmel. Every elected official, for those who don't know the town of Carmel, it actually lives in Mayovac. None of them live in the hamlet. So that's something we feel, and I'm sitting over there and I'm listening to this great discussion. Legislator Birmingham must have been in his glory for all the policy conversation there. But what I would say is that what it sounds like is that everyone on the board represents a total of 3 towns in the county.
Not me.
I'm sorry?
You represent 3 towns?
No,
Yeah.
everyone on the ag
Oh,
board. Yeah, no. Everyone on the ag board represents just 3 towns. Putt Valley, Southeast, and Phillipstown. That is one of the towns that you represent. And so that leaves out half the county from being represented in all of the decision-making regarding farms, okay? And Patterson, having one of the biggest farms in Brook Ranch, not being represented at all on the ag board, the town of Patterson.
And other boards.
Putnam Valley and Brewster are on there too.
I'm sorry, I said Brook Valley and South.
Did you, I apologize, Brewster.
Yes, Brewster's in South.
I'll go back. Be quiet.
Yeah, I studied.
Look, this is a very valid point.
Yeah, so my point is just about.
This is a very valid point, and the only thing that I can say is what this body can do today is it appears that we have no issues with any of any of the people who've been voted on. The final and total decision is made by the chairman of the legislature, and I think that you're more than welcome to bring this information directly to
As decision
Chairman
made,
Sage.
I would just ask that Chairman Sage and the rest of the legislature just consider the importance of representation in decision-making bodies that affect the entire county, making sure that the entire county has at least some type of voice and stake in the vote. So that's all I've been asking. Obviously, I know how much these requirements by and large to the exponential degree. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess that we could say here, I just want to double check with everyone in the legislature, you have no problem with me just sending a little memo. We've discussed ag board applicants, and none of the legislators have a problem with the applicants. Agreed? Thank you. We'll move now to agenda item 5, which is the approval for capital projects 25 CPO2. Programmatic building management systems upgrades. I think we know Commissioners Fieri and Belushi. Gentlemen,
Yes,
once again, please.
This is a building management system that's an upgrade for all mechanicals. So the two buildings that we identified being the most were this building and the correction facility both aged out without new mechanical systems. So this gives us the ability to actually turn on, turn off, offline, maintenance, everything, also efficiencies. So it's a good fit for the county.
Okay, and the amount of this we're looking for is $45,684. I see that this company is part of Schneider Electric. It's the same company who now owns Square D PLCs and Modicon, so there definitely is a automation here. And specifically, what will these items do?
So they replace the existing building management software.
When you say build, so this is, I'm asking, so everyone knows at home, building management software, is this going to run HVAC? Is this going to be egress? What's the?
Yes, and it become obsolete. The systems we have now are obsolete in 18 months, so we have to get this on hand. So, and yes, they are.
Absolutely, just as your more support.
And remotely.
They're switching over from Andover to Schneider systems now, and the Andover system will become obsolete in about 18 months, so the building management systems will adequately be unusable.
Any questions or comments by the committee? By other legislators? By the public? Okay, so I move that we approve this in the amount of $44,684 and pass it along to a full. Do I have a second?
Sorry, there's a couple there.
I'm sorry, this was just number 5.
Yeah, there's a couple of board numbers.
Okay, so I'll rescind that, and please continue. Oh, I see it right over here. There's other controls, another sheet for $70,103.
Do they all fall under the same capital project number?
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
So it's all going to be for not to exceed $162,000 is what you're asking for.
Right.
Okay, so I stand corrected. So I move to move to the full 25 CPO2 in an amount not to exceed $162,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Number 6 is a cell tower for the town of Carmel. Okay, this is also cell, and I should say radio tower, where we have Commissioner Barossa and also Director Landon from IT. We already accepted 6A and 6B, which for everybody are minor changes in the lease, just so everybody knows. There was a change on one page of the lease from 2,611 square feet to 2,611.35 square feet, okay? And the other changes on the exhibits on page C, it now will reflect the 2,611.35 square feet. And and the other thing is the resolution originally and the secret declaration originally had the verbiage, the cell tower was designed to resemble a tree. That has been stricken from both, thank you, again, it's pretty funny, right? That has been stricken from both of these. So please, go ahead.
So, the first, item A is a resolution for, concluding the environmental review, super negative declaration, combined with, approving the lease agreement, as well as approving the Monroe Balancing Act, excluding this project from, local land use.
Could you please, because you can do it much better, both of you do it much better than I can, just so everybody knows briefly, what is the Monroe Balancing Act?
It's a process of considering the project for exclusion for a
It's nine factors, right?
court case of, I believe it was Monroe versus City of Rochester.
Yeah, City of
Where it was determined that this is a way to determine if a upper approval agency
Is necessary.
exempt from lower level agencies or approvals.
Okay. Of the committee, any questions or comments regarding the negative secret declaration? Yes, Legislator Crowley.
Sorry, this has been a love of mine, we all know this. It's also in my district, and I know this has moved around more times, as I just said, which at Birmingham, and at Chesapeake and Central Park. So it is important we find a home for it. Have we had a hearing on this and heard from the public and what they think about the positioning in place of that?
We have not, but it's actually back to the original position where we did have a public hearing on about that, but that was with the town of Carmel.
That was, yes.
And because we're invoking the Monroe balancing test, you don't need that.
I understand, still have to take care of my people, and I also understand the importance of safety. And why are we not making it look like a pine tree anymore? Just for fun.
Because
I really enjoy those in 684.
It's
It's
160 foot tall, and that would make it stand out.
We should
more.
put like 10 of them on Pugsley Road in front of that monstrosity, and we would have no more issues.
There you go. Right. Yeah, at 160 foot, and then we have microwave equipment that would also have to go on it, which would not do well.
Not too well with the branches.
Not do well with the branch. It would stick out.
It'd be
like
the
a
best
sore
Christmas tree around.
So there will be circular and or parabolic radio antennas on this tower, and approximately 6 to 9 feet in diameter.
6 to 9 feet, that is correct.
Okay, we're back to
Okay, any other from the committee, anybody else? Legislators?
How many towers to go? Antennas. One more, right?
Piano Mountain.
Piano Mountain Extension, which we do have the approval, we have the drawing from American Tower, so that should be progressing quickly. Barbara and I have reviewed that. And then, of course, the Phillipstown Tower, which is under construction.
Okay.
Any question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Legislator Birmingham.
Yeah, this isn't in the 6A resolution, but it is a speaker question I had. It's in the 6B resolution. I understand we're asking the state for an alienation parkland resolution. Typically, those involve a swap of land, and I know this is only a postage stamp.
Excuse me, Legislator Birmingham, that's 6B. If you wouldn't mind, can we just go for the secret?
Yeah, but I'm not going to resign it. I'll bring it up under 6B, but it is, I think, an environmental issue, but I'd be happy to wait till 6B.
I appreciate that, thank you. So, okay, I move that we go to the full for revised additional 6A for the negative secret declaration. Oh, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Now we're looking at 6B, approval for parkland alienation. I love the terminology that we all have to deal with here. If you want to give a brief description before Legislator Birmingham chimes in, it would be appreciated.
So this is a resolution to request the legislature give us permission to file paperwork with the state for parkland alienation issues. And yes, we are aware that we do have to do a swap. There are several parcels that are considered, and we will review, determine which parcel in particular, and when that.
If I may, the location of the cell tower is going to be on the Putnam County Golf Course, which is, quote, the park. So therefore, if we're losing area of that parkland, we have to make up for that square footage in another parkland. Legislator Birmingham, please.
Not on committee, I'll defer to any questions first and then.
This is also similar in Nelsonville, or Phillipstown, correct? We did a land swap out there. This is not unfamiliar territory. We've had to deal with this with a couple of places.
That was a little different, where we didn't have to do a New York State alienation.
Right, but we did a
But we
land
did do a
swap, yeah.
land swap there to offset a deed restriction that we have on that property.
Any other committee members? Legislator Birmingham?
Yeah, quick question, and thank you for that. Does the state require us to give them the land swap information first while we request this, or is that something where they'll pass or come up with a bill number and then we'll swap the land? You know, because I guess we'll have to make that decision as well as far as what land is going to be put into parkland. Yeah, maybe it's legal.
Through the chair. I believe that we have to designate what land we're going to do, but I don't think it has to be done in advance. I think that we are tasked with providing a swap in exchange. You're correct.
Thank you.
Any other legislators' comments? Anybody in the public? Okay, seeing that we're not talking about little green men from Mars, I move to approve the full additional item 6B, resolution for approval of parkland alienation cell tower, town of Carmel, TM number 64-14-1-8. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, yes.
Through the chair, if I may, just for clarification on 6A, you did, it's all one resolution, and your motion did reference the negative declaration, but it did mention approval of the lease agreement and then approval of the land use and zoning exemption for the facility. So I just wanted to clarify that all of that was in fact included in the vote.
That is my error. So I apologize to everyone. If anybody wants to revisit this because of the lease, etc., we're more than open to it. Committee, legislators, people? No, so we have, okay. That's it.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
This is
you.
magic in the making over how many years?
Yes.
You're a good
It's
team.
been a long time.
Thank you.
And if someone would be so kind to make a motion to adjourn.
I just have a quick question. I want to thank planning, IT, and DPW tonight for, and law, and the clerks, and you guys. No, seriously, you guys were in the hot seat all night.
Came up before 9 o'clock.
Yeah, and thank you for all the information and bringing the DEC here, and putting it all together, because I think it was really helpful. So, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
You asked me if somebody made a motion, you didn't want to make it, so I was making.
please, legislators rally.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'd love to second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Everyone, thank you very much.
Farmland.